Hello, my name is John Osborn, and I'm the instructor for the EMBA 723, which is Strategic Brand Management. We would be spending 28 hours of class time together, and I thought today I would just walk you through and break down what those 28 hours would look like, and just touching on the main topics. So let's just start with day one. On day one, we'll look at a snapshot of the food industry. And what I want to illustrate here is that for every one of the brands that you see on the screen, every one of them has a brand manager behind them. And what a brand manager is a business manager. So many people think that when you talk branding, it's just the advertising side or the marketing side. But brand management people are really, or brand managers are really business managers, and they're responsible for the overall financial stability and strategic direction of the brand, which is new product development, creative development, just every aspect of the brand. So what does a brand manager do? A brand manager takes a product and turns it into a brand, and we'll discuss what the difference between a product and a brand is in a minute. But here's an illustration of a product, and these are meerkats. And if anyone has seen the television program Meerkat Manor, you realize that they were able to take meerkats, turn them into a family, give them personality, and actually engage the audience in the lives of these meerkats, where ultimately when one of them passed away, the New York Times ran an obituary on a meerkat. So what did they do? They actually dolled it up a bit. They gave it attributes. In the case of the meerkats and the family, they created a family. Each one had a different personality, but they engaged the audience to the point where audiences were vested in the lives of these meerkats and knew them individually. Well, that's what you want to have happen with your products. You basically add features and benefits and points of differentiation to set them apart from other meerkats in the industry. Well, let's give you an example of this if this were a product. Okay, so ultimately what does the brand manager want? He wants people to desire his product. Look at this squirrel. He desires this nut more than anything else. He's gripping on to the tree, and he's stretching out as far as he can to get this nut. Well, what if you had a customer that desired your product this much that they would put themselves at risk, and that they would go out on a limb to buy your product? That is what we call brand resonance, and that's what we are trying to create as a brand, as a brand manager. There's a difference between a product or a brand and a product. Let's take an automobile. What does an automobile do? It really gets you from point A to point B. So a Volkswagen can get you from point A to point B. So can a Maserati. It can get you from point A to point B. So could a Bentley, point A to point B. But there's a big difference. They get you there in a very different way. They get you there with different levels of comfort. They get you there with different features. They get you there with different prestige. When you arrive and step out of a Volkswagen onto a red carpet, it might have a very different impression if you arrive and step out of a Bentley onto a red carpet. So your identity can get wrapped up in a product that you serve, or that you purchase, or that you are vested in, or that you own. And so what the brand manager does is manages the process to turn a brand, or turn a product into a brand. Let's just take a look at this snapshot of the automotive industry. Lots of logos. Logos aren't the brand. Logos are a brand element. But each one invokes a certain image to the public, or even one to you that you want projected. We'll dig into that in depth. We'll look at the formal brand management process, which will be our guide through the class. And everything we do will tie back to how does that fit into the brand management process. And we'll look at all of the support and groups and other departments within the organization and how they fit into the brand. Brand management isn't just the responsibility of the official person that is designated as the brand manager. We're going to look at how all of the other departments actually fit into the brand management process. So why do we go through this process? It's so that we can make decisions, and you can make right and wrong decisions. And wrong decisions can cost millions of dollars, and right decisions can make billions of dollars. What we really dig into in the class is that branding is when the mind and the heart sync up. That's what a brand is. On day 2, we do a case study of Dial Soap, and we call it Dial Soap Takes a Bath. And we spend most of the class time on this case. And I was the brand manager of Dial during this time, and we had tremendous challenges facing us in the marketplace, from competitive threats, but also from just changing lifestyles and perception of soap. So we dig in we take you through the history, the 50-year history of Dial Soap, which started in World War II. We show you some fun old advertising. We play some old ads that will just really crack you up and make you laugh. We see ads that couldn't be produced today, that would be so offensive to certain segments of the marketplace, but they were contemporary for their time. And we'll show some somewhat current ads, and all along the way you're going to be taking notes, and we're going to stop throughout the day, and you're going to tell me what Dial should do, every time they're up against an obstacle, and then we'll show you what they did, and we'll discuss it as a class. On day 3, we'll dig into the class project, which is the ultimate deliverable for the class. You'll be in groups of 4, and you'll reverse engineer the brand strategy of a brand of your choice. So you'll be in groups of 3 or 4, and you'll choose a brand on the first day, and then you spend the rest of the course working together to reverse engineer that brand. And it's really a lot of fun. We're going to introduce you to the concept of a mind map, which is just a brainstorming. And that's where you start. You will start with a brainstorming of you'll put on a piece of paper everything that comes to mind when you think of your chosen brand. If you chose Airbnb, you will do a mind map about Airbnb, and its competitors. Maybe colors come to mind, maybe strategies come to mind. You get them just on it's a brainstorming session. What you do is you're going to get on paper what you feel about the project. The color, the taste, the feelings that it invokes. Next, we're going to introduce you to the customer-based brand equity pyramid, which is also referred to as the resonance pyramid. If you look at the bottom, you'll see salience. That's just basically overall brand awareness in the marketplace, kind of broad awareness. But we work our way up through performance and integrity and judgments and feelings and get to brand resonance, which is what we're trying to achieve, where we actually make a connection with the customer, that it becomes part of their life and part of their community and part of their lifestyle. Throughout the class, we'll look at some well-known brands. For example, Red Bull. We'll look at their mind map. We'll look at their brand resonance pyramid. And what it ultimately results in is Red Bull gives you wings. But you're also going to be producing mind maps and resonance pyramids for your brand project. For example, Airbnb, here's a mind map. Here's a resonance pyramid. Wendy's, here's a mind map. Here's a resonance pyramid. We'll take you through positioning statements and how to create a really simple positioning statement. We'll ask you to take your own brand that you work for, your company, and recreate their positioning statement. And if you can't have a positioning statement that clearly defines the target segment, the statement of need, the name of the product, its competitive category, what it has to offer as a core benefit, your competitive products and key points of differentiation, then you might not have a unique selling proposition. You may need to make some modifications to your strategies and your products and how you talk about your product and how you sell it. We'll go into depth on that. And we'll take your actual brands that you work for and spend some time on that and help flush them out if you want to. We'll look at brand mantras. They're very important. Brand mantras are the essence of the brand. For example, fun family entertainment. Who might you think that that's a brand mantra for? The mantra is an internal terminology. It's not their jingle, but in the case of fun family entertainment, that's Disney. We'll critique types of brand elements. Remember when we say we're going to take a meerkat and we're going to add some elements and it's going to doll up the product a bit so that it's more attractive to people? We'll look at lots of different brand elements, whether it's the domain name, color scheme, any associations that you might have, and we'll critique what might work for your brand and what won't. We'll also look at associations, and associations are very important. What we'll look at is, are there brands or celebrities or people out there that you can connect to and actually leverage their brand equity to help yours. Your association might be with NASCAR, it might be with F1, it might be with the basketball team, it might be with a specific celebrity. We'll take a look at those associations and how they might help and the risks of how they might hurt. You'll have a written assignment that is a case study on the royal family. A lot of people think of the House of Windsor as that it's been around for 1,000 years because that monarchy's been around for 1,000 years. But it's only been the House of Windsor since World War I. So during World War I, the royal family had to rebrand, and it resulted in the House of Windsor. And we're going to go through that, and it's fascinating. You're going to write up a case history on the royal family. You're only going to have 2 pages. You have to fit this entire case study into 2 pages. And why? Mark Twain once said, "I'm sorry I wrote a long letter. I didn't have time to write a shorter one." There's a big difference in writing a creative novel and in writing for business. And this is an exercise for me to see how to get a look at your business writing, and I give you a very good solid critique of your writing. Day 4, we're going to talk about research, and there's 2 main types of research. You have quantitative, which is all about the numbers and data points, and the more data points you gather, the more accurate and predictive your research is. And you have qualitative, which is a little softer. It's a focus group. It's some word association, but exercises. And those are to actually provide you direction for how you might word your quantitative surveys. So we'll talk about the differences of those and when they're applicable and when they're not. So we'll look at quantitative research around brand awareness, brand image, brand responses, and brand relationships. Day 5, you're gonna present to class. You'll present your project mind maps, your project brand resonance pyramids, and the class will provide you feedback. Day 6 is generally one of the most fun days for the class. What we do is we look at brands that have stepped in some pretty deep doo-doo. We're going to look at Volkswagen, United Airlines, Samsung, DiGiorno, and Pepsi. And then we'll look at a brand in depth, and we'll talk about every element of what we've covered in class and how it applies to this brand. So day 7, you present your class projects. So I'm really excited to have you in class. I hope to see you there.